Hello Stampers, my name is Linda Bedinger and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Denver, Colorado. And this is my buddy Puccini, who has a birthday this next Saturday. He will finally be a year old. And you've seen him right since the start. And he's quite a big boy these days. He's probably 10 or 11 pounds. And he is full of the devil. And in the middle of everything that I'm doing typically. And there goes the tail. So I have a fun card for you today. I have a card that is both a fun fold and a masculine birthday card. And so let's just get started. So this card has had a little bit of an evolution. This is the first prototype that I made. And it's very plain and very simple and says happy birthday and has these birds and this pretty little ship. And this opens like this and you can write your message in here. And that was the first one I tried. Then I decided I really do like things with 3 colors. So I made this one. And this one I added pool party and kind of jazzed up the sails, made my tab here a lot longer so that it does have the opportunity to stand, albeit at a little bit of an angle. And then, so I've decided I liked the more colors on this one, but I like the wider banner on this one. So I have this one set up, and what you need to do to make this card is I have a base that is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and it's a piece of thick whisper white. Then I have a piece that goes on the front of this that is 4 by 5 1/4. The next piece that we need is a piece of white that is 3 3/4 by 5. Then we need a piece I used from the Sun Prints designer paper. I used this pretty little, almost like a raindrop pattern. I don't even know what's on the other side. Oh, the crumb cake stuff. And this piece is 5 1/8 by 2 3/4. And then I have this piece of white. And I've cut this already, but I'm going to show you how to do that. This piece is cut 6 1/2 by 3, if I don't know, 2 7/8. 2 7/8. And this piece is going to go, okay. So this piece of white is going to go down. Then, pardon me. Then you need a couple of pieces of scrap white, and I used the stamps from, let me grab them here. I used these 2 little sail stamps from Let's Set Sail, this one and this one. Oh, and I used this big stamp here, and then I used, and that's this one. And then I used from Waves of Inspiration, I used this big stamp here. Whoops. My camera's bouncing all around here. I think that's back in place. Okay, so I used from that Waves of Inspiration, the big wave stamp set. And let's see, this Happy Birthday comes from the Go-To Greetings stamp set, and it is the smallest of the Happy Birthdays, and it's this one right down here, Happy Birthday. I kind of like the size of that one. This really is a wonderful stamp set. Then I used the punch that is the sail punch, and I punched out everything in navy blue or Night of Navy, and then I punched it all out again in white so that I could have lots of choices here of how to do this. And so I'm going to show you what I did to kind of get this going and how I cut this. Okay, this piece of white, and I'm just going to move a few things out of the way here so I have some room. And then I used Night of Navy ink and Pool Party. All right, so this piece of paper again is 2 7/8 by 6 1/2. I'm going to grab my trimmer here so you can just see this. And this piece of paper was just a tiny bit smaller. This one is 2 3/4 by 5 1/8. All right, and then what I did was I put these two pieces of paper together and did my spacing so that I would have the dead center here of this. And I marked with a pencil my dead center point here on both the Designer Series paper and on the edge of this piece of white. Then I put my trimmer out, and once I had that down, I put my pieces of paper on top of one another, and what I did was I put these so that they were flush against the bottom. So just like this. And then I put my center point in the cutting channel, and I put this piece, this end, at the half, oops, gotta go this way, and put this piece, so at the cutting channel, and put this edge at 1/2 inch, and then I sliced it and it gave me that angle. Then I did it the other way, putting this piece at the cutting channel and this edge at the 1/2 inch and sliced that off, and then you have exactly the same angle on both your white piece and your Designer Series paper. So then this piece is scored at 1 1/4 inches from the top and then folded back, and that's going to give us what we need to go across everything that we need. This piece is going to go directly on here, so I think we're ready actually to adhere this piece to the card. So I'm going to just put some snail on this, and I'm going to be really careful with exactly how I lay this one down. So on here, and I know I want a tiny little margin at the bottom, and I know I want very slim margins on either side, and I can adhere this down. Now I have a tiny little bit more at the top, but that's okay. All right, so next we're going to do our stamping, and I've done a little bit of it ahead of time, but I want to show you how I got this water on the bottom here. It's the kissing technique. And so I have this very large water stamp, and what I did was I used my Pool Party ink, and you can see this stamp is much bigger than what I need, but I just needed to go across this, so that works out just fine. And so there I've got my Pool Party on this stamp. Then it's got some striations that go kind of across. Then I used my Night of Navy ink, and I put my Night of Navy ink across the bottom of this large wave. So I got the texture of the wave, but I'm going to get it on this representation of the water. So there I've got my Night of Navy, and then what I did was I put this stamp straight across here so it would pick up the texture in the Night of Navy, like that. And now I've got both Night of Navy and Pool Party on my stamp. So now what I'm going to do is stamp this across the bottom of my card here, going off a little bit just so that I can get that whole image on here. And there we go. I left a tiny bit off that corner, so I'll fix that. And then I do have to ink this up again. So I am going to use a wipe here, and I'm going to take the ink off because I don't want to put that dark ink on my Pool Party. So I'm going to wipe off the ink on this whole thing here and then re-ink and do the same thing because I want that to be a little bit wider. But isn't that pretty? So it's got the striations that go across the bottom of the card this way, and then it's got that pattern of the water going the other way. So we're going to ink this up again in the Pool Party and get that nice and inked up. Then we're going to bring back our big wave, and I am going to go ahead and re-ink this Night of Navy just along that bottom edge. Now I'm pretty sure that's it for this. Don't need anything else. And now I'm going to set this one down here and kiss it to the stamp below and pick up that pattern on my stamp. And there we go. Now I've got both colors on here. And I think I do. Okay. All right. So now this one can be set over top of this other one and put that down across the bottom of the card. And there we have water and texture. I think that's very cool. All right. Now then, this piece also, the other thing I did from the Less Set sale is these little tiny birds that are in the sky, and I did those in Night of Navy. So, and on this one, what I thought I would do is use my bird stamp and just tap lightly, make sure my birds are right side up, and set them here up in that corner. And I'm going to turn them slightly and stamp again. That's kind of a boo-boo. We'll have to figure out what to do about that. Again. And I thought it might be kind of fun to just take those birds all the way across the top of this card. And there we go. So now we've got birds all the way across the top. All right, so that is the stamping. Now, on this little piece here, on this one I used the Night of Navy to do my happy birthday, and I thought it'd be interesting to see how it looked if I did it on the Pool Party. So I did do it on the Pool Party as well, and then I fussy cut around the happy birthday and just put a straight edge on the on the bottom. And then I have a piece of Night of Navy that is 2 inches by 1/2 inch, and this goes right over the top of that piece. And so I'm going to add a little bit of snail to the back of this and mount that on my little Night of Navy strip, and that way we'll repeat that Pool Party color one more time, and that way I can center it on this larger banner here, and I think it'll be a little bit more balanced. Okay, so now this piece is ready to go. Wish I didn't have that mess around that bird. I'm going to go off camera and see if I can fix that. Okay, there we go. I fixed him as well as I could. Used my sand eraser and erase things and then put him back in the Night of Navy marker. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is take this piece and attach it to my Night of Navy 4 by 5 1/4 piece, and I'm going to add this right here on this. Now this piece is going to go on the back of here, and I need to erase those pencil marks. I can still see them here on the bottom of that tip. Now you might want to make this just a tiny bit longer. This past the score mark, this is like 5 and just a tiny bit over 5 1/4. You might want to make it 5 1/2, and then you can always change the score mark at the top and make it a little bit shorter if you want. But this piece, I had already put some glue on this one, so that's why I've got it on my mat here. This, I want to get plenty of glue down on this piece, and then this piece is going to go like right here, is kind of what I'm thinking, so that it is all the way to the bottom and a little bit beyond this piece, this card, and this is going to adhere to the back. And there's the reason I did those birds all the way across, because I think it's a little bit more interesting. You see them on this side, and then you see them on the inside as well. And that flap is going to go there, and then we're going to burnish this fold right up here quite a bit so that it stays closed. Now this whole assembly is going to go on my card base, which is the 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 piece, and we're going to center that one on there, and there we have that part of our card done, and that's behaving pretty well. You have to be very aggressive with your bone folder on this little fold here to get that flap to stay closed, but can be done. All right, so building our little sailboat is next. So I have my sailboat here piece, and I did put that towards the bottom, and I'm going to do that again. And what I'm going to do, well, before I do that, let me show you what I did here. I stamped these sails, and they would fit with almost no margin on the top of those white sails. And all I did was I came up and I fussy cut those little sails out so that I took a bit of that outer edge off. And that way I was sure there was going to be a margin on the inside for showing the white sail on the outside. And so just right along the edge, and then just slightly into the pool party ink. And then what happens is, then here is my sail, and when I put this piece on top, I have plenty of margin to set that in there and give me that kind of a look. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this one out. Okay, so now you can see just how much a sliver is all I'm taking off of that pool party when I cut that out. And you can see those edges, and that's all I'm taking off. All right, but then these pieces will fit on my sails and make that perfect silhouette. And leave me the margin that I want on those sails. I think that's going to be just perfect. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and put these pieces together with some adhesive, and I'm going to put this on dimensionals, this and this on dimensionals, and then we'll be ready to put our boat on the front of this card. Okay, we are ready to put our sailboat together. So I'm going to put my sailboat right here, and the bottom of the sailboat is a little bit of an angle, but that allows the mast here to be straight up and down. And then I'm going to add my sail, forward sail, right here, just so that it's touching this mast. Put that in place, and the same thing with this one on the back side, just touching the mast. And there we have our sailboat here, riding right at the water line in the back. All right, and then I have my label here, and I did my happy birthday, then fussy cut around it, and then put it on this 2-inch piece, and I thought that might go right up in here, also up on dimensionals. There we go. That is my project for the day. Thank you so much for stopping by my YouTube channel today. I do so appreciate it. And so what we have is 3 versions of this card. This one is pretty easy. There's no extra stamping, although I suppose you could stamp this on there, and there's so little that comes off that it probably fits inside this, and then just put those punches in there, and you have a little bit of room to write your message that's hidden. This one has the more colors in it, has the sentiment in the Night of Navy color, and then this one, which is the final version of this, is really with the wider banner, wider even than this one, so there's plenty of room to write your message in there. It's got the boat with the extra pieces. Everything is raised. On this one, this mast and the boat itself is flat on the card, and this one has the happy birthday there. I think I do like the versions with the happy birthday up further, and I like this one that picks up that pool party color a little bit more. So there we go. That is my project for the day. And again, thank you so much for stopping by my channel. And if you don't already have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, well, I'd love to be your demonstrator. Now, it is now October, and there is a special running this month for joining Stampin' Up! Instead of the $125 worth of product for $99, it's $155 for $59, and you pick all of the product. So that is a very good deal. Runs from October the 4th through October 31st. So if you've ever thinking about joining, why not do it now when you get a little extra product, and you can join and start with a 20% discount. And starting this month, you don't have to have your first minimum done until the end of March. So that carries you all the way, not only through year end, but part of Celebration, all of Celebration in the spring and the new catalog. So that's what's going on in Stampin' Up! I'll be picking my monthly prize draw. I do a $60 shopping spree on me, every month, and you get yourself in the drawing by placing an order of any size on my store, lbedinger.stampinup.net, and you can get to it through my blog, www.inkandingenuity.com. So that's it for me, and I will be back soon with more cards, more projects, and more tips. Bye!